Milking is harvesting the crop on the dairy and one of the most important assignments. The goal of using proper milking procedures is to milk a clean, dry udder efficiently and completely, using clean and properly functioning milking equipment. During this presentation, we will discuss two recommended methods of preparing cows for milking and some procedures that should not be used. We will also present basic information on handling of cows, the structure and function of the udder, and how a milking system works. Modern milking systems are rather complicated, but can be properly used and cared for if the basic equipment and its functions are understood. A vacuum pump removes air from the entire milking system and exhausts it outside the parlor. This creates a negative pressure within the system, usually between 12 to 13 inches of mercury. Pipelines connect the vacuum pump to the rest of the milking system. This allows the pump and its noise to be located away from the parlor and the cows. The milking unit consists of 4 teat cups, which are connected to the claw. The teat cups have a hard outer shell and an inner liner or inflation. This is the only part of a milking system which comes in contact with the cow. As the vacuum pump removes air from the milking system, this creates a vacuum inside the teat cup. When the teat cup is placed on the teat, this vacuum helps to hold it on and also draws milk from the teat. The pulsator causes a periodic interruption to the vacuum between the liner or inflation and the shell, usually about once per second. The interruption by the pulsator allows the liner to collapse and gently massage the teat so it doesn't become swollen and close off the teat opening. Listen during milking for the normal sound of the pulsators. The milk is drawn from each teat and combined in the claw. From here, it is drawn down the long milk hose into the milk line. It runs by gravity down the milk line and into the receiver jar. The milk is pumped by a milk pump from the receiver jar through a filter and then into the bulk tank. A wash system provides a means to clean the inside of the entire milk line system after milking has been completed. Attachments for the teat cups, the cleaning in place unit, includes them in this cleaning process. The water temperature and chemicals used are vitally important for proper cleaning. After each milking, scrub and wash the outside of all milking units with soap and water to remove any manure and milk film. Usually several hours elapse between milkings. Bacteria may grow in moist areas in the line during this time, so be sure to sanitize or wash out the milking system just prior to milking. After the sanitizing cycle, a new filter is installed in the milk line. Be sure to turn the valves and connect the pipes as needed to get the milk into the bulk tank. But do this after the completion of the sanitizing cycle, or it will pump wash water into the bulk tank. Know how to turn the specific milking system on and off. Listen to the pump and pulsators during milking to be sure they sound normal. Observe the gauge on the vacuum line to see that it is working and is at the expected level for milking. When handling dairy cows to bring them into the milking parlor, move them very calmly and quietly. Do not allow dogs or loud noises or visual objects to frighten them. If a cow becomes frightened, the hormone adrenaline is released into her bloodstream. This hormone prepares her for flight or fight, but it also blocks and prevents milk letdown for the next 20 minutes. Fear is contagious, and as one cow becomes frightened, others will sense that and also become excited and frightened. Keep cows calm and quiet. The specific procedures involved in milking can be classified into the steps of 1. Udder preparation, washing the teats or pre-dipping the teats. 2. Attaching the milking unit. 3. Adjusting the milking unit. 4. Removal of the milking unit. And 5. Teat dipping after milking. Strive to standardize the procedures on your dairy so every cow is milked the same at each milking. Standardization of good procedures will improve milking efficiency, milk quality, and reduce mastitis. In nature, as the calf begins to nurse, that stimulation on the teat and udder causes the cow to let down her milk. As the nerves in the teats are stimulated, it results in release of the hormone from the base of the brain. This enters the bloodstream and is carried throughout the body. Oxytocin affects specific cells in the udder and causes them to squeeze the milk out into the duct system, making it ready to be milked from the teats. Preparing the udder for milking provides stimulation similar to that of a nursing calf. Some may question if really clean cows need to be prepped at all, but it is best to stay with a routine and provide the stimulation and cleaning procedure for each cow. The objectives of the udder prep are to stimulate the teats and udder to cause milk letdown and to provide teats that are clean and dry. The optimum lag time from the beginning of prep until the teat cups are applied is 1 minute. There are 2 recommended methods of preparing a cow's teats and udder for milking. One of these methods should be chosen and then followed closely at every milking, either washing the teats or pre-dipping the teats. Each of the procedures will be discussed in detail separately. The first steps are the same for both procedures. First, we will describe and demonstrate the method of washing the teats. Milk 2 to 3 squirts of milk from each teat to flush out bacteria before they are pushed up into the udder. For herds with a mastitis problem, the use of a strip cup or a colored plate on the parlor floor will aid in early detection of mastitis. The milk can be observed for flakes and clots as an early sign of mastitis. The milk from cows with these signs of mastitis should not be milked into the bulk tank, as this will increase the somatic cell count and the bacteria count and reduce milk quality. Record the tag numbers of cows with mastitis problems. The owner or manager may want them removed from the milking string. When using a strip cup, keep it clean, or it becomes a tool to spread infectious bacteria and mastitis. Use a low-pressure water hose to apply a small stream of water directly to the teat, while wiping and rubbing the teat with the fingers. Repeat on each teat and wet only the hairless part of the teats. The water should contain a sanitizing agent at the proper concentration and temperature. Wearing of light gloves is highly recommended. The gloves clean off much better and more easily than does the skin of the hands, and thus helps prevent the spread of bacteria and mastitis from cow to cow. Do not use a high-pressure, high-volume spray and soak the surface of the udder. If the udder should become wet, dry it off well with towels to remove the water. Water presents a great hazard for dairy cattle as it carries bacteria. When the udder and teats are wet at milking, water collects at the top of the teat cup and is sucked into the milking system. These water droplets contain bacteria which contaminate the milk. Along with contaminating the milk, the droplets shower the teat end and are often forced into the teat opening. The bacteria carried into the udder with the droplets may then grow in number and cause mastitis. Periodically wash off the milker's hands to reduce the spread of infection to other cows. The wearing of light rubber gloves makes it much easier to clean hands often. Dry the teats using a single-use paper or cloth towel. Remove water so there is none left to collect and run down the teat. If a hose is not present in the parlor, a bucket of water or sanitizer can be used. A clean towel is dipped into the water and used to clean the teats and is then discarded. A separate towel is used for each cow, and the water sanitizer is changed often. The teats are dried thoroughly. Next, we will describe and demonstrate the use of the pre-dipping method of udder preparation. Milk 2 to 3 squirts of milk from each teat to flush out bacteria before they are pushed up into the udder. For herds with a mastitis problem, the use of a strip cup or a colored plate on the parlor floor will aid in early detection of mastitis. The milk can be observed for flakes and clots as an early sign of mastitis. The milk from cows with these signs of mastitis should not be milked into the bulk tank, as this will increase the somatic cell count and the bacteria count and reduce milk quality. Record the tag numbers of cows with mastitis problems. The owner or manager may want them removed from the milking string. When using a strip cup, keep it clean or it becomes a tool to spread infectious bacteria and mastitis. Pre-dip the teat covering all of the teat. Wearing of light gloves is highly recommended. The gloves clean off much better and more easily than does the skin and thus help prevent the spread of bacteria and thus mastitis from cow to cow. A spray of pre-dip solution can be applied, but be sure it is applied from the bottom to all sides and not just one side of the teat. Apply heavily enough to achieve some runoff. Grasp the teat between the thumb and forefinger and vigorously rub down and back up twice. Turn the hand slightly to cover the other areas or quadrants of the teat and rub down and up again twice. Use the thumb or forefinger and rub across and back on the very end of the teat. Hands or gloves must be kept clean or this could spread mastitis. Repeat this on all teats. It really doesn't take as long to do it as it does to tell it once you become accustomed to the procedure. Redip each teat and move on to the next cow. Work on only a few cows at once so the milking unit can be applied within 1 minute of the beginning of udder cleaning. Wash any milk off the milker's hands to reduce the spread of infection to other cows. The wearing of light rubber gloves makes it much easier to clean hands between cows. Let the pre-dip remain in contact for at least 15 to 30 seconds before wiping it off. Return and wipe the teats dry with a clean single-use towel, paper, or cloth. Be sure the teat ends are clean. The pre-dipping procedure is the preferred method for udder preparation. It may be used instead of washing if the teats are clean as the cows come into the milking parlor. If an individual cow comes into the parlor with manure on her teats, then the heavy contamination of manure should be removed by washing and drying first. Then pre-dipping can proceed. Problems in the corral environment should be corrected to prevent or reduce the manure contamination. The outside of the claw and shells is sometimes neglected and contaminates the milker's hands. Spray off the outside of the shells and claws occasionally during milking, especially if they become contaminated with manure. Some preparation procedures have been shown to spread infection and mastitis from one cow to others and should not be used. Avoid using common rags, sponges, or buckets. These soon become heavily contaminated with bacteria. Disinfectants are not able to kill the bacteria due to a lack of contact time or interference from manure with the disinfectant. The tool for cleaning becomes instead a vehicle for transmission and carries infectious bacteria from one cow to many others. This leads to an increase of mastitis or infection in the udder. Once the teats are clean, it is time to attach the milking unit. Attach the teat cups soon after milk letdown when the teats are full of milk within 1 minute from the beginning of udder prep. When applying the teat cups, minimize the air allowed to enter while getting the shell up and onto the teat. While the shells are hanging down at the side of the claw, air is excluded, but when lifted, air suction will begin. Put the hoses into the support arm to reduce their weight hanging on the claw. Adjust the claw and teat cup position as needed at attachment and during milking to ensure proper alignment and to prevent squawks or air leaking between the teat and the liner. Continue to listen for squawks during milking and correct the problem. If teats are not dried adequately, there will be more liner slips. A properly adjusted claw sits parallel to the floor of the udder with the hose directly in line with the midline of the cow. These squawks into one teat cup will cause small droplets of milk to be pushed back up into one or more of the other teat cups, where they can strike the teat end. These are called reverse impacts. Some of the droplets will pass right through the open streak canal and into that quarter. Some droplets carry bacteria with them, and this may lead to infection or mastitis. Near the end of milking, observe for and adjust to prevent the teat cups from creeping up onto the udder. This tends to shut off the milk flow and cause irritation to the teat and quarter. When the milk flow has stopped, remove the unit from the cow to avoid over-milking. To remove the teat cups, always shut off the vacuum to the claw first. This will allow the cups to just fall off. Failure to do this causes reverse impacts on this claw as well as vacuum fluctuations at other units. If automatic takeoffs are used, be sure they are adjusted and function properly so the vacuum is shut off before removal. Avoid either machine or hand stripping, as this results in more liner slips and also teaches the cows to expect it, so it must be done routinely. The final milking procedure is teat dipping. Dip all teats of every cow after milking with a product approved as a post-milking teat dip. Coverage of the total teat is essential for maximum effect. If the temperature is below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, blot the small droplets of dip or milk from the end of the teat to avoid freezing of the teat ends. Some dairymen stop teat dipping until the weather warms, but there may be droplets of milk on the teat end that would also cause the teat ends to freeze. Teats can be sprayed, but it is often less effective than dipping. Spraying is better than no post-milking procedure, but is a poor second choice to cup dipping. Some milking systems are designed with an automatic backflush system. This includes a rinse to remove the milk film, a flush of sanitizer, and then another rinse. This cycle occurs after each cow is milked. This equipment may be of benefit in controlling the spread of contagious mastitis if it functions properly. Another method of back flushing is to just manually run water through each claw, then allow the claw to drain. This is of some benefit, but less effective than the automatic triple flush and more work. The milk from some cows must be withheld from the bulk tank because the cow has mastitis or has been treated with antibiotics. Be sure you know how to connect to the bucket or container to hold this milk and keep it out of the milk line. If there is ever an error and milk from a cow marked withhold is mistakenly put into the bulk tank, be sure to tell the owner or manager immediately. It may cause some milk loss, but that loss will be much less if reported now. Otherwise, the owner may not only lose the value of his own milk, but may have to pay for milk from other producers as well. Avoid dirty corrals and dirty cows. Don't allow the udder and rear legs to become heavily contaminated with manure. If this does happen, it is an obvious sign that corrals, free stalls, etc. need major work and improvements, and better planning and design for the future. For dry lot or open corral management, slope corrals for drainage or provide earth mounds for the cows to lie on. Provide other small pastures or spare corrals for use in wet weather. Prevent mud holes around water troughs and feed mangers. Keep free stalls repaired so the cows use them properly. Design, build, and maintain free stalls so the cows urinate and defecate in the alley, not in the back of the free stall. Fill in the holes and rake out manure each day. Sand is a better bedding than straw or sawdust because it reduces bacterial growth. Hair, especially long winter hair, retains manure and water. Hair removal from the udder results in cleaner udders that require less work. The hair can be removed by flaming the udders. Be sure to use a cool yellow flame and not a hot blue one. The udder hair may also be clipped off, but this takes more time than flaming. Monitor your milking procedures by looking at the milk filters each day as they are changed. Clots present on the filters indicate that cows with mastitis are being milked. Dirt in the filters indicates improper udder preparation procedures. Observe the cows for proper application of teat dip. Also watch for signs of sores or irritation on the teat ends. Monitor bacterial counts in the reports from the milk processor. Elevated coliform counts in the bulk tank milk usually indicate that wet or dirty teats are being milked. Also monitor bulk tank and DHI records for trends in the somatic cell counts. An increasing trend indicates a potential mastitis problem. Remember that the goal is to milk a clean, dry udder efficiently and completely, using clean and properly functioning milking equipment. A short selection of questions and answers will be used to clarify key procedures taught in the milking school. This should serve as a summary and brief review of the key points on milking procedures. What is the recommended procedure to prepare cows and get them ready for milking? When possible, use the pre-dipping procedure. The detailed video presentation may have made it seem complicated, but it is really quite simple. Milk 2 to 3 squirts of milk from each teat. Pre-dip each teat. Grasp the teat and rub up and down on the teat and the teat end to loosen debris. Re-dip. Allow the dip to remain in contact for 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, wipe the dip off and dry the teats. Attach the milking unit. You are encouraged to wear rubber gloves during milking. In herds with a mastitis problem, it would be best to use a strip cup to observe for milk quality. Keep the strip cup and hands clean. If the pre-dip procedure is best, why was a combination of pre-dip and washing discussed? An occasional cow's udder is so dirty that it is difficult to clean it by just pre-dipping. For these cows, it is best to wash the manure and dirt from the teats and then proceed with the pre-dipping udder preparation. If it is decided to use the wash rather than the pre-dip procedure, how is that best done? The procedure is quite simple. Milk 2 to 3 squirts of milk from each teat. Use water from a low-pressure hose and spray onto just the teat. Wipe and rub the teat to clean while spraying with water. Dry the teats and udder completely. Attach the milker. You are encouraged to wear rubber gloves during milking. In herds with a mastitis problem, it would be best to use a strip cup to observe for milk quality. Keep the strip cup and hands clean. It was stated in the video that a common rag should not be used, and yet it showed a bucket and rag. Why? For washing of teats, it is best to use a low-pressure drop hose so you don't spread bacteria from cow to cow. But if water is not present in the parlor, and yet you must wash off a dirty udder, a bucket of water can be used. Wet a paper or cloth towel in the bucket and use it on only one cow and then discard it. Don't go from cow to cow with the same washing towel. After washing, use another towel and dry the teats and udder thoroughly. If there are a lot of squawks during milking, is that any problem? Yes, it is a problem because of reverse impacts. As air enters one teat cup, small droplets in the other teat cups are forced back against the teat end. Some droplets carry bacteria and can cause mastitis. To prevent squawks, adjust the weight of the unit and hoses. Be sure the teats are dry and have the vacuum level tested by the milking machine representative. If there is a herd problem, try use of a smaller or different teat cup liner or inflation. It is also very important to shut off the vacuum before removing the milking unit. If I make an error and put milk into the bulk tank, which came from a cow that was treated with antibiotics, what should I do? It is critically important that you immediately tell the manager or owner. Just leave the cows standing if you must, and go find that person. All milk shipped is tested for antibiotics, and the antibiotic residues will show up on test. It may be necessary to dump the milk from the bulk tank and rinse it out well before you finish milking the rest of the herd. If the problem is not corrected, The contaminated milk may contaminate milk from other farms and result in the discard of additional milk.